My name is Elenie. I'm a Minister of the Uniting Church in Australia and the National Director of Uniting Justice. Uniting Justice is the policy and advocacy unit of the Assembly, which is the National Council of the Uniting Church in Australia. The Uniting Church has been advocating for refugees and asylum seekers since its beginnings. The Uniting Church is involved in the issue of refugees and asylum seekers because it's foundational to the theology of the Christian Church generally, that we care about people who are fleeing persecution and danger, that we care about people who are exiled. In our Christian tradition, we have the experience of Jesus himself, who as a baby was taken by his parents. They fled their home with almost nothing in order to avoid persecution. We're seeing increasingly harsh policies that demean people, that deny them dignity, that put them in abusive situations. We've been working to understand policy and its implications on people. Through our caring services, we've been providing services for asylum seekers and refugees for years. One of the things that's concerned me most over the last few years, and which I know has concerned many Uniting Church members, has been the hardening of hearts that we've seen in this country against asylum seekers and refugees, especially those who come by boat seeking our care. And it's by changing community attitudes and by shifting community opinions that we hope that we will see a shift in Australian policy towards one that respects people, that upholds their dignity and that regards their rights as really important. Australia is the only developed country in the world that detains asylum seekers in the way that we do. The alternative to detention is far more humane and much more in line with our obligations to allow people to live in the community with access to appropriate services while their claims are processed. Over 90% of asylum seekers who arrive by boat in this country have been found to be refugees. This means they're fleeing terrible situations of violence and persecution. Australian detention centres, both onshore and offshore, are not suitable places for children. It's very hard for parents in a detention centre environment to care for their children in the way that parents want to. They have no right to cook for their children, they can't ensure that they have good educational opportunities, that their health is looked after, and often for parents in detention, they themselves are suffering enormously. This has terrible impacts on everyone, but particularly on children, and we've got massive amounts of evidence, far too much, about the damage that it does to children. They suffer emotionally, their mental health suffers. We know that it only takes about 30 days for a child in detention to start showing signs of grave distress. We see children self-harming. We see children not speaking. It's just not acceptable for children to be in detention. One of the amazing things about our society is that we are so enriched by the lives of people who come here to live. And in our history, refugees have contributed so much to our country, in sport, in the arts, in civil society organisations, in the law. Refugees come to us already with enormous skills and experiences, and refugees are particularly motivated because they have had to flee their homes and leave everything behind. They are motivated to build new and productive lives for themselves and for their families. This is an incredible contribution and such an important part of the wonderfully diverse and vibrant nature of Australian society.